Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder live show on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world. I'm your host, media member and beat writer for ThunderNSI.com, Rylan Stiles. That's Derek Parker. We're here for you every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time, live for you here on YouTube, on top of our daily Monday through Friday Locked On Thunder podcast, on top of our Locked On Thunder squad shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, live on YouTube, on top of our bonus shows after every single game, including for weekend pods. Derek, the Thunder, are they cooked? Is it over? What's going on? The Thunder 0-2 in their last two games, dropping both of them at home for the first time since 2023. Derek, we've known each other since 2023. We've done a lot of changing, evolving. So has this team. And, well, they were 0-2 this weekend.
Yeah, 0-2. Obviously not what Thunder fans want to see, losing to the Pacers, then the Raptors, especially after losing, one Eastern Conference game the entirety of last season, dropping a couple back-to-back at home again, first time since 2023. Not what you want as a Thunder fan, and we don't blame you. My first takeaway, though, of this last week is that the Thunder have to get healthy. The trade deadline's nearing, and it is fun to speculate about the moves to be made. But more than anything, the Thunder just have to get healthy. And we've worn it out all season long because this has been a season-long thing that they've gone through. But I find it really, really hard to think up these game-changing or team-changing moves whenever we're seeing major minutes from two-way players who have stepped in and been good, major minutes from Ousmane Dieng, who has stepped in and been good. These are not players that are going to be playing come, high leverage time, like the playoffs, deep in the playoffs. Those players are going to be Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, Alex Caruso, Jay Will, all these players that have missed so much time. They're just going to have to get them back to be the competitive team that we know. And I think that they will. I think obviously, as we'll touch on, the All-Star break is going to be big for that. But in the same breath, they're going to have to get healthy before that too, because they're going to need the continuity of having their full team together for, at least a month and a half, 2 months before the playoffs actually start. So again, not what Thunder fans want to hear because we've been hammering it for weeks, months now, but they just have to get healthy. That's just how it is at this point. There's no magical trade that's going to bring 6 players off the injury report. It just doesn't happen. So got to get healthy, which hopefully they do here in the next month or so.
Yeah, got to get healthy. That's the biggest thing. That ties into my first takeaway. None of this matters in the bigger sense. Like, it just doesn't. And I get it. That sounds very dismissive. It sounds very hand-waving of just like, oh, none of this matters. But like you said, they need to get healthy. No trade that they can make can be the elixir for missing these amount of guys. If they're missing any of these guys in April, their season's over. I don't think that they can win a championship without Isaiah Hartenstein. They can't win a championship without Jalen Williams. Even losing A.J. Mitchell would put them vastly behind the 8 ball. Caruso, same thing. So it's like, yeah, they need their guys healthy. No team is designed in a way that they don't need their guys healthy, by the way. But I think that it shouldn't change your opinion of anything from what this team can be to what this team should do at the deadline to where this team will finish in the standings. I think that it shouldn't change your opinion on anything. And so if you go through those opinions and kind of break them down, if you thought the Thunder coming into this week would be the 1 seed in the West, you should still feel that way because they're going to get healthy and they're going to be able to be the 1 seed in the West. If you thought before this week that the Thunder should make a trade at the deadline, you should still feel that way. If you thought that they should make a trade at the deadline, absolutely you still feel that way as well. And if you thought this team was going to go back to back, nothing from this week should discourage you. Yes, 2 bad losses. 100% 2 bad losses. We'll talk about where we were wrong coming up on last week, whenever we previewed the week ahead. We were wrong in a big way about how this week was going to unfold. So I hear you. 2 bad losses. But that's not the team that if you were predicting they're going to win the championship, you were not having that team in mind that played on Friday and Sunday. So you shouldn't change your opinion there. If you thought that the road to going back-to-back, which nobody's done since 2018, would be too tough and they wouldn't win a championship this season, that shouldn't change your opinion either, for the same reasons why if you thought that they would win, doesn't change your opinion either. So let's kind of go backwards here. The biggest thing, of course, right now at the trade deadline is just that. It's like that's the closest thing. They can't win a playoff series tomorrow. They can't win a playoff series next week. They can't defend their title next week, but they can make a trade at the deadline. I still think that this team shouldn't do anything massive at the deadline, but I also think that the route of holding on to Oos and then waiving him and elevating Carlson, or holding on to Oos, period, and just going through the end of the season, or trading Oos only to elevate Carlson, would be a move that while I couldn't be fired up in the sense of like calling for heads or anything to roll, it would be a move that I would disagree with. I think that they could stand to go get an insurance bag if there's a market for one. I think that even if there isn't a market for one out there, like maybe the Kevin Love or Darren Sharp dreams are too lofty, right? For whatever reason, maybe those don't work out. I don't think that your answer for the insurance bid can be Brandon Carlson. I think that we've seen that over the last couple of weeks. So I think that they could make a move, and they should make a move to that degree. And I think that, Trey Murphy would be an awesome addition to this team. I think it's the wrong time for all parties involved, including New Orleans, to do it right now. So like that's off the table for me. But I think that they should do something, just not something that is dramatic. Trading Oos is not dramatic. Trading Oos would be in lockstep with how this team has operated around Sam Presti the entire existence of this team. So again, nothing from this week changes my opinion. And so I think that this week really matters in the grand scheme of things. So if they were fully healthy and they lost these games, Derek, it would be a different story.
100%. And to your point, again, the Trey Murphy move is out there. Like there's all these moves. None of those are going to bring all these players off the injury report. If you go and you trade for Trey Murphy tomorrow, Trey Murphy's still going to share the lineup with Ousmane Dieng, Brandon Carlson, all these guys that, they've stepped in, and again, they've been very good. These are not going to be postseason level rotational players. And I still think whenever this Thunder roster has its full complement of players, Rylan, as you say, I still think it's one of the best in the NBA. I think that's proven both by last year's championship, by the 25-game start, all these different things. I mean, Shai's clearly, the MVP at this point in time as of January 26th. Chet Holmgren has clearly taken strides as an offensive player. Jalen Williams was getting back to the player that he was last season, minus the three-point shooting, which, people expect to come back long-term. So I still believe in this Thunder team, truly. I just don't think major moves are on the horizon. My second takeaway, to move past the injury stuff a little bit and onto more concrete takeaways, is the Thunder need more consistent scoring output. This is a team that we talk about it all the time. They've been streaky. We've seen the highs where they go for 140 points on 44% three-point shooting on high volume and everything's cooking. And we've seen plenty of lows, specifically this season on the offensive front, where they can't create in the half court very well. The shot quality isn't quite there. Even when they are getting good shot quality, they're simply not knocking down three-pointers. And I think these last two games against the Pacers and the Raptors, and again, there were a lot of Thunder players missing from these, but again, this kind of showed the inconsistency in the scoring. Against the Pacers, they scored 114 points. I thought it was a fine offensive night given all things considered. Chet had 25. He turns around and has 11. On the flip side of that, Lou Dort against Indiana, 1 for 9 shooting, turns it around and has his best shooting night of the season, 6 for 10 against the Raptors. Again, we know they're streaky. It cannot be this game to game. You can't walk into any given night and not know what you're getting at all from a host of players. Now, Chet Holmgren is not the face of this for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He has been pretty consistently good this season, but guys like Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, again, we know they're streaky. That has to be much more long form than it's been lately. You can't have, 7 made threes on 40 attempts one night and then turn around and shoot really well, but then also not have the defensive intensity that you need. It has to be more consistent at some level. Like, we need to see 10 games of bad shooting and then 10 games of good. It can't be good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, because you can't prepare for that. You can't walk into a game knowing what you have. You have to adapt completely. And the Thunder are good at adapting, but it has just been way, way too inconsistent lately.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. They're very inconsistent, especially shooting the basketball, and have been for years now. And that is a flaw of this team. This team, even when they're fully healthy, has flaws like every other team in the NBA. All 29 other teams also have flaws. I think the Thunder have less flaws than the rest of them, but that is a big one. And I don't think that a single move will fix that necessarily, but that's another route you could see the Thunder go at the deadline when trading Oos. My number 2 takeaway is in line with yours too. This is a big opportunity here for Isaiah Joe, for Aaron Wiggins, for Kenrich, for Lou, for Jay Will. And so far, we've only seen Kenrich really take hold of that opportunity. And perhaps that kind of will help him become a more staple of the playoff rotation, which he has not been the last 2 years, despite you and I, Derek, calling for him to get more minutes in Dallas during that 2024 playoff run. But he's the only one who's taken full advantage of it. Lou's had some really good games. He had a really good game Monday, really good game on against Milwaukee, really good game on Sunday, against the Raptors. But to your point, inconsistent. The rest of these guys have just not shown up to the degree that you need them to. And this is an area where I think that it is fair to have concern about guys like Joe and Wiggins, who, when the lights are not bright at all, in fact, the lights are pretty dim right now, because, hey, they lost 2 in a row and we're still sitting here preaching patience. For them to not step up and have these massive games or have massive outings, they do some things really well. Like I think that Wiggins last night was a really good playmaker. I think that Joe in the last 2 games, to his credit, was fearless in launching triples and was doing the things that we wanted to see him do more of not be so hesitant, of be a guy who shoots off of movement and relocates around the perimeter. But eventually the shots have to go in. Eventually the shots have to fall. And of course they've fallen from it a big clip throughout the season, but you want to see these 2 guys at a spark, and you're waiting around wondering, could this be the year that they are consistently helping you turn a game or helping you turn a series in the postseason? The early returns on that, in this stretch are not good, but we know that J-Dub's out multiple weeks. iHeart is, of course, like, we don't know anything. They haven't given us any update on anybody but J-Dub. So we don't know anything, but I think it's probably safe to assume, we'll see tonight, but it's probably safe to assume that a lot of these guys will be out tomorrow as well. And you want to see them relish in that opportunity, them step up in a big way and do it consistently, to your point. But this is a big chance for them to really prove it. They haven't proved it yet, especially in huge moments. And this is not even a big one. It's just like, hey, they actually need something from these guys. They're not, these guys go from luxury to necessity during this stretch, and they have to provide what this team needs.
Totally agree. Obviously, in terms of like the missed production, these are the guys you're looking at. But to kind of put a bow on our first takeaways and this takeaway, these guys are also battling injury. Jay Will was obviously laboring. He landed right on the injury that he's been dealing with. Aaron Wiggins, was questionable days ago and then comes in and is expected to add that offensive punch, which, of course, if he does, the Thunder probably go on to win. But these guys too, Isaiah Joe has been in and out of the lineup with injuries this season. It has been a full top to bottom thing. And again, these guys are NBA players. Mark Daigneault expects them to battle through this just as any other team does. Every team is dealing with this. It is not specific to the Thunder. Maybe, this level is specific to the Thunder and a few other teams, but yeah, totally agree with that takeaway. My third one ties into that just a little bit, is that AJ Mitchell has quickly become vitally important to this roster in his second year. Rylan, we're going to get into where we were wrong here in a little bit. We're going to go hand up our bad. We're going to admit that we were wrong. If you had told me then, when we were making our predictions, that AJ Mitchell would miss 2 games, I would have counted more losses. I think you would have as well. He is genuinely vital to what the Thunder want to do right now. Offensively, he is the only secondary creator on this team. Even accounting for Jalen Williams, who is getting back to the player he was, AJ Mitchell is the only secondary creator on this team capable of doing it with a drop of a hat. He is averaging 14 points. He can handle the ball. He can shoot. He plays good defense. He is vital to what the Thunder want to do, and they really missed him in these last 2 games. They lost by 5 points combined. I'm not a betting man, but I would have bet AJ Mitchell would have been the difference in both those games. So, yeah, it really just speaks to how good he's been this season. He has been, their third in certain scenarios, 4th, 5th best player, and that is unbelievable for a second-year guard who was drafted in the second round just a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything that you just laid out there, and AJ Mitchell is pivotal to this team and what this team wants to do and how this team wants to play. And they desperately need another creator, a shot creator for himself, a table setter for others. They desperately need that right now, and they don't have it because of the injury report. This third takeaway, it does not tie into any of the other ones. It's just a footnote, like this week has been. Ousmane Dieng is playing really well over the last 2 games. He is playing carefree, like he has nothing to lose, which he doesn't. And so like it's been beneficial to him to play with more confidence on the offensive end, to play with more force, as they've been begging him to do for 3 years now, on the offensive end. That transition 3 he hit against Indiana, the push the pace assist to Kenrich Williams last night. He's been really good for this team. He's been the NBA level defender that I've told you, every dayers know this. I've told you for years, like he's got it on the defensive side of the floor. He's got to find something offensively. He's proven that about his defense over the last couple of games here. However, he could string together a week worth of good games before the trade deadline. He could average 30 points before the trade deadline ends, and it would not swing his trade value one way or the other, because the trade value is built in leverage. And the Thunder, there is no leverage in trading Oos. So it's like whatever they get from Oos will be, Oos is the salary, and then however much that they're willing to attach is going to determine what they're going to get back. If they're not willing to attach anything, then they'll just basically swap him for a different contract, hopefully a lesser one financially, and move forward. And like this plan will just be to free up that roster spot, as you've seen in the past. If they're willing to attach something of note, maybe a second round pick or 2 or 3, they can get someone who might be able to fit into the rotation. But the value of Oos is not going to be able to go up and down, because teams understand that, like, this is a guy who will be a restricted free agent this summer. The Thunder are not going to re-sign him. They're not going to match any offer sheet for Oos, in all likelihood. And this is a guy that you're wanting to part with, and that does not necessitate value. So I think that, just so you know, like, whatever he does during this depleted stretch, while it's good that he's playing better, it's good that he's playing well, it does not sway the opinion of who Oos is going to net back on February 5th.
Totally agree. I will just say, I still believe in Ousmane Dieng. Do I believe in Ousmane Dieng as a future, well-rounded Thunder contributor? No, probably not. I really think he's a solid buy low for other teams. If I was, your Wizards, my Nets, I really would buy low on Ousmane Dieng. I think he is capable of playing NBA defense. I think he is gaining confidence, and really the confidence that he's gaining is spurred from simply playing NBA basketball, which teams like the Nets, the Wizards, the Hornets could offer. So I'm just a Dieng believer. I have been for a long time. I used to believe that he could really work out in this Thunder core. I think we've moved past that point, but I really would buy low on Dieng, because I believe Sam Presti when he says that, he's a quick processor of the game, which he said a few seasons ago. I believe that the defensive intensity is there. I think he can get there as an offensive player, be it, hitting threes, handling the ball a little bit in moderation. So I believe in Ousmane Dieng, and I agree with you. I think ultimately the pathway is probably moving on from him, but not grabbing much value back, because it's just not there.
Yeah, and if there could be a situation here where the trade market, as we're going to talk about coming up, like, this has been a very silent trade deadline. Even the fake insiders aren't really putting out any sort of slop right now, because there's just nothing to even hypothetically discuss in a lot of ways. So it's been a very silent deadline. So, like, if there's like literally nothing out there, where even my Kevin Love pipe dream isn't even realistic, then there could be a case to just keep him, because simply he's better than Brendan Carlson. And you just see kind of what he can do during this shorthanded stretch, as a guy that I still think can be a rotational player somewhere, not in Oklahoma City, but somewhere. So yeah, the trade deadline with Oos will be interesting. I still think that all indications point to Oos being moved on on February 5th, but we'll be here live to react to that on February 5th, if and when it does happen, and when it does go down at this trade deadline. But that was our takeaways from this week. Coming up, we're going to tell you where we were right, where we were wrong. We're also going to preview the week ahead, which can get very dicey very fast for Oklahoma City. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast, on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. We're here talking to you about the Oklahoma City Thunder and their rough week ahead for OKC. And if you are an everydayer who never misses an episode, which there's plenty of you that are, And there's plenty of episodes to watch, including these live streams every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Central. Our squad shows at 3:30 p.m. Central on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Our 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, plus our bonus podcast after games on the weekend. If you're someone who listens to this show every day, thank you very much. We appreciate you. And you everydayers can join the Everydayer Club, which is built for you. Get the Thunder, Locked On Thunder show ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and exclusive content. Head over to the Everydayer Club link right now. That way you can check it out. And right now, again, you can text me on the text chat directly. You can use our Discord server. You can also get a newsletter. You can also get ad-free episodes. You can also get exclusive content all over there. And there's never been a more perfect time to check it out than right now. And you can do that by going to the LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer, LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer. Go there right now, pick the Locked On Thunder feed. And if you use the promo code DEADLINE, you're going to be able to get your first month free. So check it out today. LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer. Click the link in the show notes down below. Derek, rough week for us on our predictions. The predictions were not great. Where we were right, I did say the Raptors game would be the best game. That I think that it came to be true. We both said that the Raptors would be the nerdy watch, highlighting their defense and how that they can make Shea uncomfortable. They held Shea to 11 shot attempts on Sunday, Derek. And then we both did say Giannis would be the most interesting opposing player. I think that the storyline out of that game was about Giannis and his lack of shot attempts, to the point that he went to the media and talked about his lack of shot attempts and needing to demand the ball more. Sadly, of course, Giannis got hurt this week as well, to where now he's perhaps done for the season. We'll see how that progresses. But I think that we were right on those three things pretty solidly, Derek. I don't think we had any cheap ones on the right column.
No, I agree with those. I agree that the Raptors was the best game. I think there was a case for the Pacers, but I think the level of basketball was simply better against Toronto. Raptors nerdy watch. This pains me because I should have just picked Toronto as the best game, because obviously, like, it was right there before us. They were the best nerdy watch and thus had the best chance of defending Shea. But alas, I wanted to ride with Giannis. It didn't end up working out.
It didn't work out. You had the Bucks' best game. That's our first wrong pick of the week. We also both picked the Pacers as the most boring game. Wrong again. It was the Bucks game. That was not the best game. It was the most boring game. And then we both picked 3-0. However, I did double down and say this has to be a 2-in-1 week minimum, and they end up going 1-2 in this 3-game stretch. So I was extra wrong. You were 3-0 as well, though, so you were wrong as well. Tough week on the prediction train, but we do this every single week. We predict and discuss and preview the week ahead. This week, New Orleans, Minnesota, and Denver are on the docket, and I'm shocked that we don't have the same best game of the week. Tell me about your best game, Derek.
Yeah, I have the best game as the Timberwolves. I know everyone's looking forward to this first Nuggets matchup of the season. I can't believe it is late January and they haven't played yet, but I'm curious about this Timberwolves game, and I'll get more into it in the best storyline, but I'm just enticed by this matchup. You know, I don't necessarily think of the Timberwolves as the number one contender for the Thunder in the West. I think that would be Denver, and that would make, Thunder Nuggets the top game of the week, but neither one of these teams are what they're going to look like come postseason. So I'm not necessarily looking at, Thunder Nuggets this upcoming week as like this huge showdown of who's going to prove who's the best in the West. And for that reason, I've gone Timberwolves, and I'll touch on that later.
Yeah, I mean, I did go Nuggets. I think that there is a lot here. So I think that one is the first NBC Sunday night basketball game of the year as we wind down football season. One more game before basketball takes center stage on the NBC properties. So that's a big deal. Two, the heightened chance that Nikola Jokic will play. And the fact that this game for Denver on Sunday got postponed means that he will be eligible if he can play by Sunday against the Thunder, and he never misses a game the rest of the way, which will be tough to do, obviously. But if that happens, then he would be back into the threshold to meet the requirement of 65 games played to win the MVP award. And of course, Jokic is an awesome player. Shea's an awesome player. Those two guys dueling it out on Sunday would be a lot of fun. It also, Derek, does space things out a little bit, where it's like, look, we don't expect there to be some miraculous turnaround on this injury report tonight. We could be wrong about that, but we don't expect that to happen. Then they have an off day and travel to Minnesota. But then, for the first time since December 26th and 27th, the Thunder have consecutive off days on the 30th and 31st to really go through and hopefully, for their sake, get some guys back heading into that massive Sunday showdown against Denver. So pushing it later in the week on top of the storylines I mentioned is what swayed me to pick Denver. This was obviously a two-team race here for the best game of the week, and I like that we split it up. That way we can't be both double wrong. One of us is going to be right, and one of us will be wrong for certain. However, the most boring game, we both have the Pelicans. It's an easy pick because of the Thunder's injury report, because of where the Pelicans are at presently. It's an easy pick, I think, Derek.
Yeah. I mean, the Pelicans are not even close to the tier of Minnesota or Denver, even accounting for the injuries to both of these teams. They are among the worst teams in the league. Not that they can't be competitive, but I would not expect them to play near as competitively as these other two teams. So easy choice here.
Yeah. And then whenever we move on here, our biggest storyline in a game. I spoiled mine a bit. I think that the possibility of Jokic returning will be a massive buzz around the NBA heading into that Sunday matchup, and rightfully so. So I think that, is he going to return? And then if he does return, what he looks like and how he plays against this Thunder team that, whenever they're healthy, have so many options to defend him, but we don't know who they'll have for Sunday's game. I think that that'll be the biggest storyline in a single game.
I agree with you. Just for the sake of the podcast, I've gone with a secondary storyline, but obviously, I mean, the return of Jokic is the biggest deal here. I have gone with, can the Thunder, get up for the Timberwolves game? Obviously Minnesota beat them by 5 points last time. I thought they showed a lot of heart. Anthony Edwards played really well. They obviously met up in the Western Conference Finals last year. I'm curious to see, even with a lengthy injury report, can the Thunder show some fight against Minnesota, who, much like San Antonio, much like a few of these other teams, they're going to want this game. 100% they're going to want it. So that is why I ultimately picked the best game as the Timberwolves. I think if Jokic doesn't play, which really, really hope he does, again, that would be the biggest storyline. If the Nuggets have Jokic and the Thunder have Shea and these teams play, that'll probably be the best game of the week, and that'll probably be one of the best matchups of the season. But if not, then I think this Minnesota OKC game is going to be really, really competitive. And I think it'll probably end up being the best game of the week if Jokic doesn't play. So that is why I have chosen Minnesota.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And I think that I'm putting a lot of eggs in the basket of Jokic returning. And if he doesn't return, then I think that the right and wrong category for Monday's show swings heavily into your favor. But my nerdy basketball watch of the week is going to be the Pelicans youngsters, Derek. They're going to be battling a shorthanded Thunder team in all likelihood. You have Fears, you have Misi, you have Queen. They just have a lot of young guys who you're intrigued by, and you get a front row seat to everybody's favorite trade target. Just like last year, whenever Cam Johnson was in town, right around the trade deadline, you get a front row seat to your favorite trade deadline target in Trey Murphy III.
Yeah, the Pelicans are super interesting. The Thunder have played them a handful of times already, but we are talking about a November 2nd game and a November 17th game where Oklahoma City blew them out in both games. This was, 7 games into Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen's career. This was 14 games into their career. So I'm really excited to see what they look like now that they've had a lot of NBA experience under their belt. I agree. I co-sign that nerdy basketball watch. Mine is these Nuggets late rotation players that have helped kind of keep this team afloat with Jokic out. Zeke Naji, Spencer Jones, Jalen Pickett, Julian Strawther. These are not guys that, once they have their full roster, that are going to be making major, major differences, starting every single night. But these are players that could make a difference, especially in terms of playing Oklahoma City. If these guys turn out to be legit and they can really insert themselves into the healthy Denver Nuggets lineup, then these are guys, especially this many, that could potentially move the needle over a team like Oklahoma City. It went 7 games last year. We know that with Nikola Jokic, they're going to be capable of beating the Thunder. So just watching how these guys fit into the rotation, they've all taken pretty big leaps since the last time these teams matched up. Some of these guys weren't here. So just this late rotation, they might even start versus Oklahoma City. So keep an eye out for some of these players.
That is a good pick for your nerdy basketball watch. Very nerdy, very good, very futuristic as well. Like the Pelicans nerdy watch for me doesn't have a lot of juice to it long term, but this one does have a lot of juice long term whenever these two teams are expected to face off in the postseason. Derek, we both had the same caveat in our most interesting player to watch, but because I've already been all in on Denver for the sake of the podcast, I will take Jokic and you can take Ant. And obviously, if Jokic plays, it'll be him. So but if Jokic doesn't play, I'll give you Ant. That way you're right and I'm wrong. But these two guys, though, obviously will be special to watch this week.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who guards Anthony Edwards, especially if obviously J-Dub is out, which it seems like is trending towards happening. He pretty much had his way last time with the Thunder. He got into the shots he wanted to. He had that obviously huge shot that went and eventually won them the game. So very curious to see how Oklahoma City handles one of the best superstar scorers in the league.
And for those reasons that you just mentioned, of who's going to guard Ant, we already talked about like the Thunder typically have a lot of options for Jokic. They quickly have none right now for Jokic as their current injury report stands, including seeing Cason Wallace leave the game early last night. So we don't know about his status either. For those reasons, and for the fact of like they're inconsistent and guys haven't stepped up and their 3-point shooting has been bad, I'm going to go 1-2 this week for my record prediction. 1-2. I think that they can find a way to beat the Pelicans, but I think that they drop the last two games of this week.
That is a fair prediction. That would put them at 1-4 in their last 5, which wouldn't be a great look. So in the spirit of that, I've gone to 2-1. I think the Pelicans obviously will be a win. We touched on that. I think they get at least one of the others, be it, shutting down the important Minnesota Timberwolves. Maybe Jokic doesn't play. Maybe he does play. If it's his first game back, that's going to be tough regardless of how big of a talent he is. So I do think they get at least 2 of these 3 games. But certainly my confidence is fading a little more than it was earlier in the season when I could say undefeated every week and be right.
True. You had a great stretch of being right during your predictions. You had a lot more confidence than I did, even dating back to the start of November, whenever I thought that they dropped that back-to-back against the Lakers and Warriors, dropped one of those 2 games. They end up sweeping those games, so you were on a hot streak there for leaning all in on this team. It's just the health that gets me to 1-2 for this current roster. I think that Shea plays in all 3 fourth quarters because of the fact that they're likely going to be down AJ as well as we know they're going to be down J-Dub tomorrow. So I think that he's going to need to shake up his rotation and then get his minutes in the fourth quarter to help them pull out that game against the Pelicans. And then, of course, I expect them to lose to Denver and Minnesota. So I think he has to play the fourth quarters in those settings. So I've got 3 for Shea. How many do you have for Shea?
You make great points about Shea and the amount of players that the Thunder are going to be able to roll out. You nearly convinced me. I'll still go 2. I really am not a believer in the Pelicans being able to contend with this Thunder team, even giving the players that are out. Like, they're just not a great.
And they had a nice little night in San Antonio, though.
They did. They're a good basketball team. I don't want to make this like the hate on the Pelicans. I just think the Thunder are pretty equipped to deal with them. But again, you almost sold me. I'll stick with 2. I don't want to switch up, mid podcast. I can't be fooled that easily.
Fair. Look, our storyline at the end of the week prediction that we do every week, it naturally lended itself to us being just having the reversal of each other. Like we have the inverse of each other on the storyline prediction. Mine is the Thunder are going to see their 1 seed slip a bit. And because of the fact that I have them going 1-2, you mentioned how that'd be like, losing 4 of the last 5 games or whatever it would be. Like that's all true. But they also are going to be losing to Denver, which is like a win for them and a loss for OKC, which quickly does the math there to flip-a-roo this cushion that they've built up, and to Minnesota, which is still a big deal. And I think that the storyline heading into this next week of basketball will be the fact that the Thunder are still banged up. They just are on this losing spell here, and they have a gauntlet ahead of playing Orlando and San Antonio on a back-to-back, playing Houston again, playing the Suns and the Lakers and the Bucks. Like that's going to be, I think, the storyline. 2 back-to-back heading into the break. Could you see the Thunder lose their 1 seed before the All-Star break? I think that will be the biggest deal of it all. So I have that to be my storyline prediction.
Yeah, I obviously have the inverse. I think in tandem with my pick that they go 2-1 this week, as well as the fact that the Spurs have some tough games coming up. The Nuggets, they're still not healthy. Like even accounting for Jokic coming back, they're just not a healthy basketball team right now. And these teams are the 2 closest. They're 5.5 games back. And even accounting for as you touched on, kind of the double wins where the Nuggets could potentially beat the Thunder and flip 2 full games. Even accounting for those, this is a real cushion. Like the next closest team is the Rockets at 8 games back. They've been inconsistent. The Lakers, 8.5 games back. Not a very great defensive team. Phoenix Suns, Timberwolves, Warriors. These are almost so far out of reach at this point anyway. So you're looking at the Spurs and the Nuggets, both of which, are not infallible. 6-4 and 7-3 in their last 10. We're talking about the Thunder like the sky is falling right now. The Nuggets have the exact same record in the last 10, and the Spurs are even worse. So I just don't see them closing the gap much on number one in the next few weeks, maybe over the course of the entire season. But I think at least at the end of this week, we'll be saying, yeah, it's probably not going to happen until post All-Star break at minimum, if ever.
That's fair. Let's talk about stories from around the NBA. My GOAT.
I can't believe the first one. Why the first one? This is the top takeaway.
Can I finish? This was the biggest thing that happened in my world over the last week. My GOAT, Jalen Green, is hurt again. I hope that my GOAT has a speedy recovery from another hamstring soreness. Devin Booker is officially out for a week. And that's a big deal as the Suns and T-Wolves are tied for that 6-7 seed in the Western Conference standings. And it's a big deal for if he's out for a week until he gets reevaluated. If Booker gets reevaluated and says, you know what, let's just resume this after the All-Star break, then that takes him out for one of the Thunder matchups with Phoenix. So it could be a big deal both for the NBA at large with the standing shakeup, but also for OKC in particular.
Yeah, I joke about Jalen Green. It really is sad that he can't get healthy because he had such a healthy streak with Houston, and this Phoenix team is so fun. Obviously, the Devin Booker one stinks too. And
he's been hooping.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a fun basketball team. Truly, they were kind of the butt of the joke over the offseason in terms of management and direction and things like that. And then they come out this season and they have a genuinely good defensive product. They play the right way. They're unselfish. They have some standouts, some breakout players. And they're a spunky little team, to quote you, in the Western Conference. And it really does just stink that they can't get JG healthy. Devin Booker's out now. It is sad because they've completely flipped the script. There's probably pods of me trashing the Phoenix Suns prior to the season. And there's probably pods of me saying, hey, this Phoenix Suns team is really dang fun in the middle of the season. So I hope they can get healthy before the end of the season. And they're just a fun, a fun, spunky little team. And I hope they have a postseason run.
A fun little ball club up there in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, let's just take a second here to really dive into what we were alluding to earlier. We're in the dog days of the NBA season. And I know that the Thunder feel like the sky is falling in this fan base again, after it fell, completely fell during the holiday season. They had rebounded, and now they've lost 2 in a row at home for the first time since 2023, and they've lost a couple games to a bad Pacers team, and then the Raptors team that was uninspiring, although you ever dare know that we did call their defense being a trouble issue twice last week on this show leading into that game. And I know that Thunder fans can feel that way. And I know that, it was hard to take heed from Derek and I whenever they were 24-1 telling you, hey, this is fun, but I don't think they're going to chase 70 wins, much less the win record. And now it's funny, Derek, we were sitting there saying that at the time. And now that they've been losing, everybody still hops in the comments of I thought this team was going to break the win record. What happened? It's we never said that they were going to. We never bought into that for a second. But, whenever the ire's out, it comes for all of us, I guess. It's the dog days, though. San Antonio just lost to the Pelicans, fully healthy. The San Antonio Spurs lost to the Pelicans yesterday. You look at what's happening, with the Timberwolves and their fan base right now is not happy. The Rockets fan base is miserable right now, looking at the fact that Kevin Durant seems a tad frustrated, and the fact that the team has not done and fulfilled what they thought that they could be. The only team having fun right now is Denver because they're playing with house money and they're executing at a high clip right now. That what they've done without Jokic has been outright impressive. I think that they're the only team in the West that feels good about what's going on right now in the NBA. And so I think that, you just have to realize that everybody is going through a stretch like this right now.
I agree. And even accounting for Denver, even looking across the East with the Pistons kind of closing the gap on that overall number
Yeah.
one
And the
seed.
Knicks falling apart. The Knicks fan base is going just to extremes on the negative side.
Even accounting for all of these things that we've touched on, you have to be pretty happy as a Thunder fan to look across the league and say, hey, there is still a lot of parity. We have the championship team that we came off. Like, we still have all of these players. They're not healthy, but we still have that team. I think you have to be comfortable where you're at. You're the number one seed by 5.5 games. You have essentially the MVP on your team, if not at absolute minimum, the second best player in the world. I think you have to be comfortable where you're at. It's just, there's so many other teams out there right now who are dealing with lesser stuff, like that just aren't going to be able to even summit the mountaintop. You've already did that and you're in good position to do so again. Again, the sky falls a couple times a year. We can call this one, I guess, but I'm not moved.
Well, the Pistons are just one back in the loss column of OKC, as you mentioned, them kind of getting themselves some cushion around the East to kind of solidify their standing as the number one team, because they're also 5.5 up of the Celtics, who are in number 2 out East. I don't think that the Pistons will ultimately end with the best record in the NBA. I still think OKC will when it's all said and done, once the team gets healthy. However, the only thing that matters for OKC is getting the 1 seed in the West, not the 1 seed overall, because I'm not certain OKC will get to the end where it doesn't matter. I'm certainly not prepared to put the Pistons in the finals to where it ends up mattering. So like that stuff, it does not even come into the realm of conversation for me, especially in January. If you get to June and you play the Pistons, guess what? You're back in the finals whenever the past 6 champions have failed to make it out of the second round even, and you roll the ball out there in the Little Caesars Arena, game 1 of the finals, and see what happens.
Yeah, I think you'd prefer, obviously, to go get the overall number 1 seed. The things that has to happen for that to actually matter, though, are so slim. Like, it's so tough to do. Like, both 1 seeds just cruising to the finals. Even if you do, and even if it is the Pistons, and it's looking like it would be, I don't think any other Eastern Conference team has even a chance at doing this, really. Even then, like, you take your odds at, having more experience, having more been there, done that than the Pistons. So, yeah, I don't think this is really on radars right now.
And then you have some topics around the NBA. We had to start with my GOAT, Jalen Green, get well soon. But you had some other topics that you wanted to hit on.
If you start with your GOAT, I'll go to my team, the Hornets. The Hornets are the only Eastern team, 8 through 16, with a positive point differential. And I know that doesn't sound necessarily crazy. It's pretty wild, genuinely. There are 4 teams with negative point differentials above them. They are currently the 4, the 12 seed in the East, and they have a better point differential than the Bucks, Hawks, Bulls, and Magic. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a ton. They have got to figure out how to win close games, but I think we're back with the Hornets just a little bit. They're playing a fun brand of basketball. They have one of the best net ratings in 2026, the year of our Lord. They're fun. They're a fun little spunky team. I think they're going to make a play-in push. I had to shout out my Hornets. Rylan got his Jalen Green stuff off, and I applauded him for it. I only cut him off a few times, but I had to get my Hornets take in.
And I didn't cut you off once during the Hornets.
And I appreciate it.
I didn't cut you off once during the Hornets love affair. Listen, I think that your Hornets are back. This is the most fun that I've had watching the Hornets since Kemba Walker. And even that wasn't very, very fun. But it was funner than what we've seen recently. I think that the Hornets, if they can learn how to close out games, they can make the play-in tournament in the Eastern Conference, which would be a massive step forward for this young team who, Derek, I know that I clown you a lot for your Hornets. This was the first offseason where I can confidently say, and I said it at the time, so this is not revisionist history, but at the time, this summer, on this very show, we talked about winners and losers of the offseason. This was the first time that I thought that the Hornets really made some great moves for their franchise, and it's paying off for them. When they've been healthy, they've been a solidified Eastern Conference postseason team. Now, don't hear I'm not saying postseason counts all of the top 10, but when they've been healthy, they've been a postseason team. They got to figure out how to finish games. But if they do that in the second half of the season with Milwaukee's uncertainty, with the Bulls' uncertainty of like, are they going to go for it? Are they not going to go for it? What are they going to do? It could lend itself to the Hornets surging. and getting into that top 10.
I'm happy to have you on board. It's sad our 76ers and our Hornets have been pitted against one another. It feels like that's over anyway, so maybe we can join forces here.
Yeah, we can call the dogs off and just announce me as the winner now, just in case the Hornets surge, and count me as the winner now as the Sixers. My Sixers, 5-5 in their last 10.
Yeah, same as the Hornets. Next up, I did just want to touch on a little bit of draft. It does feel like the NBA lottery teams are starting to solidify. There were some fun early talks, Rylan, about that Jazz pick, and obviously the Clippers were sitting with really, really good odds at the 2026 NBA draft. Not so much anymore. The Wizards on a 9-game losing streak sit at number 1. The Pacers, the Hawks via New Orleans, Sacramento, Brooklyn, Utah at number 6. That would have a 0.3% chance at conveying to Oklahoma City. Nothing good. Charlotte surging a little bit, but they're either going to be a late lottery team or one of the first few into the play-in. So they'll be there. Milwaukee, Dallas, Memphis, LA surging. They could end up obviously as a West play-in team at this point. Atlanta, Portland, and Chicago. This feels pretty close to what the lottery teams are going to be, unless you have any qualms.
No, I completely agree with you. And in the spirit of that, should we do a quick little spin? One spin.
I would love that. Hands up, hands up.
Hands up, one spin. Washington, Sacramento, Charlotte, Atlanta is the top 4. Thunder only get pick 11 from the Clippers, obviously, but the Jazz do fall exactly to 8. So they fall exactly to 8. But that top 4, my whiz kids, DP, AJ, or Cam?
I go DP. I think Darren Peterson, they need some guard help. He's an incredible player. I like the pick there.
The Hornets? The Kings and then the Hornets?
Kings at 2 go AJ DiBonsa. Cameron Boozer's enticing. They do like the Sabonis archetype. I think there's some overlap, but the pure upside of AJ DiBonsa mixed with the fact that the Kings really can do a full-scale rebuild for the first time in a while offsets that. I go AJD number 2.
And so then that means that you got Boozer with your Hornets, and then you've got Caleb Wilson with the Hawks.
Truly my favorite fit out of all the fits in the draft would be Cam Boozer to the Hornets. You talk about all the things, Rylan, that we just said they got better at over the offseason, drafting high-feel, connective players that play the game the right way and just exude winning basketball. That's Cam Boozer. They need a front court player like that. Impeccable fit. Same thing for the Hawks. They're in the Trae Youngless era now. And Caleb Wilson would be an awesome forward to go and grab as they kind of move through that next era.
Well, Derek, this is the quietest deadline in recent memory. There's just no simmer, no smoke, no smoking gun to point to, which perhaps is setting up for something major to happen. But in all likelihood, it just really means that these teams are in awkward spots and that there's not ideal trade candidates out there.
Which is interesting because as we've touched on this whole time, the parity, there's no absolute number 1 contender. You can point to the Thunder who, they have their issues. They didn't look infallible last season. They could definitely fall into the trap of missing threes and lacking self-creation in the postseason. So I'm surprised a few more teams aren't really gunning for it. I guess last year looked quiet too, and obviously it wasn't. So maybe this is kind of calm before the storm type stuff. But to me, and I don't know how it feels to you, it seems like there's truly going to be almost nothing. It just seems like deals are too hard to get done right now. Some of the contracts are just too hard to move off, or they just don't want to be absorbed by other teams. Even the few moves of swapping these role players around, it almost feels like teams are are these even worth it? Is going and trading for Daniel Gafford even worth the price at this point if he's not going to seismically shift our team? So sure, there's been some smoke here and there, but to me, it feels like it is going to be a truly quiet deadline.
I agree that that's what it feels like. Perhaps it's hopium, but I do think that eventually we will see some moves go down, as we always do for the deadline. It's one of my favorite parts of the NBA calendar is the trade deadline. We'll be live during the trade deadline to break down anything that's going on. A less structured show, obviously, because we're just going to be watching the trades roll in, if any of them do, and the rumors come out. But still, we'll be very interactive with the chat on that day as we just kind of hang out. Derek, I wanted to ask you for your technical foul of the week.
My technical foul of the week goes to Rylan Stiles.
That's a technical foul.
Folks in the comments, I want you to look up to your screen if you're doing anything else. I need you to look to the left-hand side. Look at this pink hoodie that Rylan's wearing. Look at this jacket over the hoodie. Ask yourself in the dead of winter why a man would be indoors wearing a jacket over a hoodie. This man is not using central heat at all. His heater has not worked this entire time. It is, correct me if I'm wrong, Rylan, 40 degrees in your house right now because it is
a balmy 42 degrees. Yeah.
A balmy 42. Let's check the weather outside in Oklahoma right now. It says 26 degrees outside. He's not using a heater, folks. That is technical foul worthy. That's crazy. I rest my case. You have the floor.
Look, listen. In the words of Grandpa Stiles, why do you think that God invented blankets, huh? I mean, you bundle up and you get through it. Life deals you some cards, and you got to deal with the cards that were melt. This is what we call Shady 580 grit, toughness, determination. I'm still doing a dang show when I can see my breath inside my own home. It's that cold in here. But I persevere. I persevere to still do it. Listen, Big Electric is not going to win this time. I'm putting my foot down on Big Electric. However, I will say I did want to cave to Big Electric, but I resisted the temptation. And you bundle up. You just survive. You grit and bear it, as we used to say where I'm from. Anyway, I know that Listen, do you think that old Casey the Sunshine Band? Who's the guy that went to the DK Corral? Casey Royal. You think that Wild Bill Hitchcock had central heat and air? The America's First Frontier, by the way. Look him up. Good book about him. Wild Bill, they used to call him. At least that's what my folks did. Do you think he had central heat and air? No. Do you think he even had?
I bet Wild Bill was no stranger to a fireplace. I'll tell you that. I bet he had a good few logs laying around.
Yeah, that's true. But what are you gonna do? Sometimes things happen.
What are you gonna do?
Things happen. What are you gonna do? You just gotta put on more layers. I mean,
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk over to my thermostat again in the year of our Lord 2026, and I'm gonna turn it to a crisp 69 degrees, and I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah.
But I have a long sleeve Carhartt shirt, not sponsored, not an ad. A pink hoodie. I like to call it salmon, but we can call it pink for the show. And then a jacket. And I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. My technical foul, to divert the attention away, is to one Daniel Bell. That's a technical foul. Daniel Bell, friend of the show, been on the show many times. Let me be clear. I like Daniel Bell a lot. And I think that Daniel Bell is a wonderful guy. He's been on the show. Love his work. But Daniel Bell looked at a sweet moment yesterday at the Thunder game where an elder statesman, let's call him, who is pushing 90 in all likelihood, got on one knee during the Love's Kiss Cam, not an ad, and proposed. And Daniel Bell thought his reaction was so visceral that you would have thought that this man committed a crime. If love is a crime, Daniel, then send me away, officer. That's love. We love love. We love a kiss cam. We love a marriage. We love a happy life, happy wife. We love it all. And so, Daniel, technical foul for not respecting a Love's Kiss Cam. That's a technical foul.
I'm going to plead the fifth on this one. I probably wouldn't have had such a visceral reaction, but I don't know if you could mark me down as pro proposal kiss cam. It's a lot.
When you're 90 years old, what is he going to do? Where's he going to go do it at? It's snowing outside. You want him to break a hip getting on one knee in the ice in the snow? Give me a break. What's he supposed to do? I'm always going to advocate for love. I'm always going to advocate for marriage. I'm always going to advocate for the elderly. As I really think of myself as an elder statesman already. So, I'm always going to fight for my folks. But Derek, another show down the hatch, so to say, in the can. Thoughts?
It was a good show. I can't believe we fit both Jalen Green and Hornets talk into yet another Locked On Thunder live podcast. I'm
That's
sure people are
stunning.
real sick of those two things, but yeah, fun show, fun week ahead. I think we'll get some response out of the basketball team residing in Oklahoma City. Hopefully we get some guys seeing their name crossed off the injury report, and we'll push forward.
Gotta push forward. Always move forward. Let me be clear. Thunder, need a big win. And Michelle, see you next time. Be good. And be good to one another.